Hey y'all, it is September 27th, 2018. This is my first video I've made on YouTube. I've made a million videos on Facebook. I'm going to see if I can bring them over here, but whatever. This video is talking about why rape and sexual assault is okay in America. I just got out of the gym. I was sitting on one of those stationary bikes, and I was trying to watch Friends on TV because I don't have to think about anything when I'm watching Friends. I don't have to think about the state of this country. But you know what? I turned it to I think it was CBS or CNN. I don't fucking know. And it was Dr. Ford giving her testimony on how Brett Kavanaugh, who is a congressional candidate for the Congress of the United States of America, sexually assaulted her when they were teenagers. She said it was approximately 1982. That was the year I was born, so it was 36 years ago. This woman was terrified. She was not being pushed by a political party in the background. She was not being paid to say, oh, he touched me inappropriately 36 years ago. This woman was trying her entire life, this Dr. Ford, to stay away from the news, from the public, from the media. Well, this guy was a judge. Well, he was doing political things, okay? I'm watching this hearing, and there is compassion for her, but the amount of detail and the questioning, a lot of which was redundant. She had already just clearly stated the answers to these people's questions, was absolutely out of this world. Now, I'm not saying, it's really sad, but I'm not saying that people should just be like, you know, that guy raped me, and then everybody just believes it. Okay, we're talking about a congressional candidate for, you know, the U.S. So, okay. But what I'm saying is, this woman gave an opening statement, this victim, clearly, like overly describing the situation of the fact that this Kavanaugh guy got on top of her and was groping her, and he was too drunk to get her undressed, and she had a bathing suit on underneath. After a while, they toppled over, she got away, blah, blah, blah. Okay. One of the first questions that someone asked her was, how are you sure it was Brett Kavanaugh? She clearly stated that he was on top of her with his face in her face, and that she knew him from several different places around the country club and stuff. They were all really rich or whatever. She said she knew him as a friend. She said she recognized him when him or his friend pushed her into a bedroom, and then he was on top of her with his face in her face. And one of the first questions with the hearing was, how'd you know it was him? The things that women and men, but predominantly women, have to go through in this country to be believed that they had a life-altering experience. 36 years ago this happened, and this woman was shaking like a tree in the wind. Okay? She waited to not bring her family into this because that's how terrified she was of her family and her family's safety and anonymity, until there were reporters at her fucking front door when she tried to reach out confidentially to certain state representatives, who then, after she put on the letter that she wanted it to remain confidential, they forwarded it to other people. So now here she is. And Kavanaugh, according to her opinion and a lot of people's opinion, is a shoo-in for Congress. What the fuck is going on right now? We got Trump, who's got a porn star saying one thing or the other. God damn, I did not follow that news situation because I couldn't stand it. It was Stormy Daniels or whatever the fuck her name was. I couldn't even handle it because I can barely handle Trump to begin with. So I just, but she could accused him of something, and then that whole thing back before he was president about just grabbing by the pussy because you're rich and who cares? You can just do whatever you want. And it was recorded that it was him. Everyone heard the tape, okay? It's not like, oh, I heard one time 40 years ago Trump said grab him by the pussy, so that's what happened. There was fucking proof. There was an audio recording of it, okay? Then you got this little puke. Who's that little rich motherfucker? His name's probably like Blair Wimbledon or some. What the fuck is his name? Turner. Brock Turner. That little fucker thinks he has the right to go, oh, you know, I'm rich. My daddy has money. I can get out of it. So I can just kind of do whatever the fuck I feel like. So he's assaulting a woman after they've been partying at some college party. He's assaulting her behind a dumpster, behind a fucking convenience store. And the only reason he likely didn't rape her with his actual penis, because he raped her with other objects, was that two guys were just happened to go by and pulled the Brock Turner off of her. And then so what happens? He goes to jail, right? And his dad buys the judge. Because that's how the system's supposed to work. You can rape people, son. It's okay. She was just a piece of trash. It's whatever. She's not marrying material, so what's the big deal? I could hear the conversation in my head. Now, that's not proven, okay? It was proven, everything about what he did. That conversation I just said between him and his father. But listen, his father wrote a letter to the judge that said he should not. He's a great boy, and he's such a good athlete, and he shouldn't be punished for the rest of his life just for a few minutes of fun. As a woman, as a human being in general, I am absolutely fucking disgusted by that. I love vocabulary and language in the English language and to read. I'm a bibliophile. I'm a sapiosexual. And I don't even have a word to describe what is happening with the rape culture in this country. I can't come up with a word that actually personifies how I feel about the rape culture in this country. What is so goddamn hard to understand, people? Consent. Consent means in any situation, if you say yes, then it can happen. If you say no, it can't happen. If you say maybe and it starts happening, and then you say no, it has to stop happening. My 5-year-old understands that. When he has, I mean, come on, man. Full-grown adults, they fucking understand that. There was just a priest on television. I gotta stop watching the news, girl. I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack or a stroke from the stress of these fucking people. Grand High Pope or fucking some high guy in the church. I just watched him. A little interview on TV. They're asking him, did you know that it was wrong to molest young boys? No, I didn't know that. Sir? And this guy is like a high priest or like a pope guy or cardinal or whatever. I don't know. He's some highfalutin guy up in the religion thing. And they're asking him, sir, did you find out at some point that it is not okay to touch young boys while you are, at any time, but while you are a church representative of the church? And he said, yes, I have since found that out. With a straight fucking face. Dude's like 60-something, probably. And they're like, when did you find out that it was inappropriate to touch little boys? And he goes, I don't remember. And they're like, okay. Some decades ago, you were accused of touching little boys at your church. Did you know it was wrong then? He said, I don't remember. But he was like, not even like cocky about it. He was just like, whatever. Little priest touch little boys. What's the big deal? I don't know why y'all are bothering me. This stuff is the reason why I can't watch news channels. It's the reason I can't watch the nightly news. I haven't been able to for years. Because this is what we're looking at today in our society. How do I explain to my two daughters that it's not okay for someone to touch them when they say no? When the president of our goddamn country has been recorded saying, just grab them by the pussy. It doesn't matter. You can do it. Because you're powerful and rich, and who gives a shit? How am I supposed to tell my daughters that it's not okay for someone to take them behind a dumpster and put objects in their vagina when it just happened on national news and the boy was rich enough that daddy bought off the judge, who was since disbarred, by the way, and unseated because of his ridiculously illegal practices in that case, that he did time a couple months and now he's out. He got kicked out of his university and he's out of jail and he's back to being rich. What examples are we setting for our children? And what examples are we setting for my two sons? That it's okay to rape? That it's okay to assault and not hear people and listen to people's words? When did we become a society that words aren't important? When I say something to someone, I fucking mean it. And rarely do I say something about someone I wouldn't say right to their face if I haven't already. Why is this such a concern and a problem? Why is it's Texas or Arizona, I can't remember, one of the states over there, I'm way over in New York, so one of the states over there just put through a law that if you and another person are having sexual intimacy with each other, and it was a yes to begin with, it was informed, it was a consent, it was a yes, and then at any point during the sexual act, you change your mind, it is still legal for the other person to continue to do sexual acts to you because you originally consented. So if you, for example, are messing around and you're getting to the point of perhaps penetration of something with something, doesn't matter, boy, girl, whatever, and you say, I'm not really feeling it, sorry. Or even something like, no, I don't want to. It is legal in that state for the other person to finish having sex with you because you originally gave consent. I can't live in a world that this is what it is. I'm not saying I'm going to go commit suicide or something. I have children to raise properly. So there can be 4 children in the world and hopefully many more that actually know what the hell is going on and the way they're supposed to act. But I can't, it affects my everyday life. I was sitting up there on the stationary bike at the gym trying not to weep, watching this woman being ripped apart. And even though I know it was going to be hours and I have to go, I have stuff to do. I knew it was going to be hours and hours and hours. That poor terrified woman was going to have to sit there and explain every single little word and piece of everything that she's had to go through. And she's going to be questioned heavily why she waited so long. Maybe because she was goddamn terrified. Maybe because she didn't want reporters talking to her dog at her front window, which is what they were doing recently, a few days ago, as she said. Maybe it's because she's a professor at a college and she doesn't want the reporters to call her coworkers trying to get information on her, trying to defame her and say that she's a horrible person to make this testimony not stick, which is what's happening to her. Maybe she didn't want to have to actually leave her home and be in protective police custody with her family, sometimes together, sometimes separate, because people know where she lives now. And people who back Kavanaugh are giving her death threats and calling her vile names and telling her she's a liar. Maybe she didn't want all that to happen. Maybe that's why she waited. Doesn't matter. It fucking happened to her. She's telling the truth. What the fuck? I can't stand it, y'all. I have never been sexually assaulted in any way. And I can't explain the depth of sorrow and empathy I have for the millions of people in the world that are raped and assaulted. If I feel this bad and I'm this passionate about it, how do the victims feel? How do we fix this? How do we make it so that it's not okay in this country to rape people or anywhere? Because in the world, some places it's way worse than it is in the U.S. How do we change this? What do we do?